In this tutorial, we're going to look at the special features of preserve when exploding when we add compositions to raw materials. Usually, with a raw material composition, the components reflect what we need to know about it. That is, the raw material is a sum of its parts. There are some circumstances where this is not true, or there is more than one reality. This is when we use preserve when exploding. We'll take a look at a couple of real-life examples to show how this feature works. Here we have ossamine. It's currently a simple raw material with no composition. What I want to do is reflect that it contains some antioxidant. The antioxidant is BHT, and although it's only there in a small amount, it could be significant either for flavour regulations or for customer inquiries. And you can see that BHT is also just a simple raw material. So let's go ahead and add a composition to the ossamine. So we use add composition to our raw material, find the raw material, select add composition and confirm that that's what we want to do. Then when we're presented with the composition design tool, we can add the BHT in the normal way to the composition of the raw material. So I find the BHT and then I'm going to add 0.1%. As with all raw material compositions, each component is considered to be a percentage. So now here, if you notice, I'm pressing preserve when exploding yes. This is because there's only 0.1% of BHT there. And that, of course, is not the whole situation for the ossamine. Ossamine is itself plus its composition. So that is the function of preserve when exploding, to preserve the original raw material as itself and take into account the composition. So each time that ossamine is called for, either in a formulation or through documents, or even using find matching items, it takes into account that it's both ossamine and it contains 0.1% of BHT. Let's quickly use find matching items to illustrate this. So I've gone to find matching items, entered that I want to look for raw materials with a component of BHT and click search, and it immediately finds it. And we can click on view to see the details again of this raw material. Another thing to note with this particular example is that both ossamine and its component of BHT each have their own independent hazards, but the hazards of BHT contribute overall to the hazards of ossamine. You need to be very careful with this effect when using preserve when exploding, as we'll explain in the next example. In this example, we're going to look at Damascene beta and the IFRA relationships. So Damascene beta at the moment is a simple item. It has its own EC hazards and GHS hazards as well, and you'll see that the IFRA information is absent. Now let's take a look at a material that we've called rose ketones, which reflects the IFRA information that is appropriate not only for Damascene beta but other Damascenes as well. Each Damascene must behave independently for their EC and GHS hazards, but collectively for their IFRA restrictions. So the rose ketone material only contains IFRA hazards. It contains no EC or GHS hazards. So let's continue and add the composition to the beta Damascene. And we do this in the usual way by finding the raw material to which we want to add a composition, selecting add and confirm, and then now we're in the composition design tool, I'm going to locate the rose ketone material that I want to add and reflect that it's 100% of the Damascene beta. And of course press preserve when exploding in order that this material, the beta Damascene, is considered both to be beta Damascene and have 100% rose ketones, which takes account of the IFRA hazards as well as the EC and GHS hazards. And I save and check in as normal, and now I can take another view of the raw material. So now Damascene beta has a composition, and if we look at the hazards again, we can see the EC hazards are still there, as are the GHS hazards. Now if we navigate to the IFRA information, IFRA categories, we can see that there is IFRA information now present, which has been calculated based on the composition of the raw material. It's come from the rose ketones. I hope this example shows that when using the preserve when exploding feature, the hazards from the raw material and the components are added together. Therefore, it's not a good idea to have duplicate hazards on both the raw material itself and the component. So, when using preserve when exploding, yes, if you duplicate hazards on both the component and the raw material, the hazards will be double counted. For further information, please look at our other videos on YouTube, visit our website, or contact us. Thank you.